me see what time. Yeah, I need to be specific.
Hi, Walter.
Hey, and yeah,
Okay, we're on Nun Hey.
okay.
So Umina from this Brisa, Amrav Rabbi Yossi, Abba Haya Noitel Eser Groi Grois should be mixed. So he would give Truma 10 dried figs, Al Tishim Shabakak on 90 fresh figs. Yeah, Bishmalim Lichmoshein Amrin Shapir. If we look at the dried figs as they were originally fresh figs. So that's why 10 for 90 will work. Yamin Kamoshain, the way here now, Butsaluhu, it's not enough volume-wise. Dried figs are much smaller in volume than regular figs. Kiyas Rabdim Amr Belazar, shiny groi soil v'yachal shulkan v'lachzir l'kamoshain. You can put dried figs, soak them in water, and they'll go back to their original volume. Tarabah. Tarim te'ein ala groi. We can give truma fresh figs for dried figs. When b'malkam shogim lasos tenim grogros, where it's common in a locale where they would make dried figs out of whole figs. But v'lo grogros al te'enim, you couldn't give meiser from dried figs for fresh figs. Afil b'malkam shogim lasos tenim grogros, even in a place where it was customary, because dried figs are considered inferior. And you're not allowed to give inferior stuff for truma. You can separate fresh figs, and you're trying to give truma for dried figs, where it's a locale where they took fresh figs and they dried them. But not in a place where they did not dry figs from fresh figs. If there's a kohen in the locale, you can give it to them right away. So makom shein rogel on my law. I mean, even if it's a place where they don't take regular figs and dry them, you could still be able to separate fresh figs because not makom sheyesh kohen torim and ayofe. If there's a kohen, give it to him. You're not worried about waiting it around until it becomes dry. You can give him fresh. Elapshited like a coin. We'll be talking about there is no coin. So aim is safer. The law groigers to aim. You couldn't separate dried figs for fresh figs. Even in locales where they took fresh figs, dried them up. Either like a coin on my low. Now, if there's no coin, then why should it be a problem to separate groigris for te'enim. I love atnan. Malcolm shekom in torment miskan. You can things that are preservable, and dried figs are something that is preserved. So you wait. You can preserve it until a coin shows up. So it must be a pshita deika coin. So what are you telling me? Reisha de leka coin, sefer deika coin? You have a split baraisa, where the beginning part of the baraisa where there's no coin, and the end is where there is a coin. Normally the Gemara doesn't like to do that. Where's this in? Reisha de leka coin, sefer deika coin. And we learned something halachically here. Amr of Papa Shmami no. Tachkinu numukmina masnisu betray taimi. It's more preferable when you have a conflicting baraisa to set up the baraisas with two different mitziases, like the ratio without a coin, there is no coin, in the sefer there is a coin, rather than v'lo mikminin b'trei tanoi, and not understand the baraisa as a machlekes tanoim. We'd rather not have a machlekes tanoim, even if we have to explain the baraisa in two different mitziases. The Mishnah says, "Kol menachos niloshos b'poishrin." In mincha, the flour and water was kneaded in lukewarm water. U'mishaman shloech mitz, you have to watch over it so it doesn't become chametz. Imichmitzu shireha, if after you did the kmitza, the remainder becomes chametz, oiver b'lo sase, you also oiver a lot, that it became chametz. Shneimar kol mincha shetakriv l'Hashem lo saseh chametz. Don't prepare it to be chometz. The chayiv alishasa. If you need chometz tika mincha, you get malchus. Al arichas, if you shape it and it's chometz. Malafiyos, if you bake it. But not immediately, how do you know all this? Amrish lakish damakro. Lo seafeh chometz. Chelkam, a part of it was given to the fire. Even the part that goes to the Kohen and eats, that also cannot turn chometz. The losafech chometz chelkam is to come to teach that. We need it for the following. Losafech chometz matamud lamar. V'lo kvanemer losafech chometz. And he says any mincha can't have it. Why does it repeat it when you talk about baking? I might think that even if you did multiple actions with chametz, you kneaded it, you baked it, you shaped it, you only chayv one chatas. Talmud Omer lo say off that. Don't bake. Afia b'klal haisa. When it talked about regular menachos, it says lo saseh chametz to give us the detail. Now we separated out baking, even though it was in the general klal. Lama yatzos. Lahaki sheleh, to compare it to it. Mafia michadashim ma'aseh. Baking is a singular, unique action. V'chayovin alea b'fnei atzma. And you're chayiv malchus. Afani avi lishotzav v'richosa. So too will I talk about kneading and shaping, the kol ma'aseh chidish, but any other type of individual action. What does that come to include? Lasi kituf, smoothing, shumaisi chidi. V'chayoven ale b'fnei atzma. Each one is chayiv on their own. So, how can Reish Lakish use it for his drasha? And for Reish Lakish, anan mechelkam kamrina. I learn it based on the shirayim that the Kohanim eat, that you can't bake it chametz. I learn it from there. Maybe the whole drasha is needed for that. Why does it say lo safech chametz chelkam? Shmami no tarti. We learn the din that every individual maisa, kneading, shaping, baking will get their own thing, and that even the shirayim left over to the coin cannot become chametz. l'chayv chada and inich l'chayv chada kulu. Maybe since the Torah separated baking, it's to tell me that all these other actions like kneading, smoothing, shaking, you only chayv one and not individually. And for Tigmar Mishum David Davar Shay Bechlal, Afia was something within the general category of Menachos. The Yotzim and Aklal Lamed, the Torah separated out to teach. Lo Lamed Alatzma Yatsa, not for itself. Ela Lamed Alaklal Kula Yatsa, on all the various generality, the details that occur in the generality, including the kneading, the shaping. So the Gemara wants to say maybe we should have used a different technique. Ve'emak lo sase klal. Lo sase chometz is a klal. And then lo se'afeh, lo sase refers to all actions. Then lo se'afeh, don't bake prat. So you have klalu prat. Ein bechlal mash beprat. Afia in, but maybe that would teach me only baking is prohibited, not the others. Omer of aprukriki, mishum dahavi klalu prata merchukokin zemizeh. Normally the psukim of a klalu prat are next to each other. These are far apart. L'chol klalu prata merchukokin zemizeh ein darna so beklalu prat. Moshe Ravada Barava. Ravada Barava is going to ask a kasha on that. Barmila kedi. Some say without a name. Is it true that if the psukim are far apart, we don't learn a klal prat? I'll show you that we do. Batanya. It says, "V'shachat oso bimkom asher yishchat esaula." The melech, if he has to bring a chatas, that's what this parsha is talking about. He shechts it in the same place that you shecht an olah. Lifnei Hashem chatas hu. Heichen olah nishchetes b'tzofon avzeh b'tzofon. So the melech's personal chatas also has to be shechted b'tzofon. B'chanu mekan lameidim. Do we learn this halacha from there? V'alo kvar nemar. It says b'imkom asher tishachet olah tishachet chatas. The chatas is slaughtered where the olah is shechted, which is in the north. So we know it. So halam azayotza. Why was the whole parsha of the chatas for the nasi taken out of the klal? To tell you that if you didn't shecht in the north, it's possible. So you tell me that for that reason it was removed from the klal. Maybe it's a rule that only the chatas of the melech needs tzofel, but the other ones don't need tzofel. That pasuk gives us the general rule that all chatases have to be shechted in the north. Time because Rachmana v'shachat is a chatas. Is to the reason it wrote this parsha to teach me that every chatas requires north. Halavachi, if we didn't have that havamina, shezet ton sofon, veinacher ton sofon. Only the melech's chatas requires north, but the others don't. My time. And here where it comes in, the meruchakim. Lav mishum david klalu prat. The parsha of the Chatas Nasiim was in the klal, and then it was written specifically. And we use the principle of klal prat. Afagav the meruchakim zemizeh. These psukim are far apart. One is Vayikra parsha, one is in Tzav. Va'afagav the meruchakim zemizeh darna so beklalu prat. So the attempt to try to say we can't learn the klalu prat because they were far apart, we've rejected that. Maski for Ravashi, hi klalu pratu. That's not a klal uprat. It's really a prat uklal. The details mentioned first. V'nasa klal moisev la prat. So the klal sort of enlarges the details. Bisrabilu komili, and then all chatases would have to be done in the north. Elatana oso kakashla. It says v'shachat oso. Now this is by the chatas of the melech. V'achikomer. O enel shezet ton sof and v'nacher ton sof. The oso was very strong language to say only that one. Only the king's chatas gets the north, but the others don't. Because rachona oso. And not the hashanaf gislem v'shachat chatas. You brought the other pasuk that says yishech the chatas b'mkama ola. Then oso lemute mai. When you said v'shachat oso and it's a miut, what are we coming to be memayit? So the Gemara says lemuute nachshon shachat ov pesach simin. These are the various things that the Gemara is gonna say are excluded. Also b'tzafon vein sor nachshon b'tzafon. When the Nisim brought the korbanos for the Chanukas HaMizbeach, they also brought a chatas, but it doesn't have to be shechted in the north. Other chatos, you have to lean on it. And here, it also says you have to lean on it. Maybe l'srabi nami linyan sofon. So just like we're including leaning, I would think you should include that the shechit has to be in the north, kamash malon, that the oso, the shachat oso excludes that. How do you know that you have to lean on Sawyer Nachshon, the Tanya? V'samach yado al rosh hasoyer. This is the parsha of the chatas of the melech. It could have said Zamach Yado al Rosho, on its head. Why does it say al Rosh HaSo'ir? L'Rabbi Seir Nachshon L'Smicha Div Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda learns that pasuk comes to include leaning on the inauguration chatos that the Nesiim brought. Reb Shimon has a different approach, and we'll learn that tomorrow. Okay. So
shkoyach.
Tomorrow,
Tomorrow, what, 7?
7 o'clock.
Okay, perfect. Okay, shkoyach.